Warhammer the Horus Heresy. The galaxy burns. Yes. Yes, it does. Hi, it's Al here, Grumpy Grognard Gaming, and it is time to talk about the shit show that GW have made out of the Horus Heresy 3rd edition. It was all looking so good. We'd seen some rules previews. I was pretty optimistic. They hadn't dumbed it down. They hadn't Age of Sigmar'd it. They added to the stat line. Fixed the vehicle rules. I was like, looking good, guys. Then some of the army list stuff that they hadn't shown off leaked. And there were omissions. In fact, it's safe to say that some people's armies were absolutely gutted. And of course, the community has not been shy about saying stuff about it. So let's have a look. Comments. Boom. All comments. Edition in flames. The heresy revealed. I love it. Yeah. Lots of people saying they're going to stay 2nd edition because the stuff that they've spent so long building and painting and putting their heart and soul into has just been completely neutered. Let me deploy my Angel Tears with... Oh, no. Surely my Tyrant Siege Terminators would like... No. Just look. And some of it is just salt because at the end of the day, there are few fan bases as entitled as that of Warhammer fans. I've long said that the community or the fandom is the Dead Sea. It's that salty. But this time around, I think it's totally warranted. People have had their armies completely destroyed. And it's not cool. Got Alan Bligh spinning so fast in his casket he can power Nottingham. I can't speak for the dead. What I can say is that Alan Bligh masterminded a whole new type of war game for Warhammer 40,000. For Warhammer. That appealed to a certain type of person. It was a historical-based game. Very kind of niche and elite, but appealed to the older gamer, which GW had rapidly, over the years, been ignoring. And those black books were some of the finest books ever made, along with the Imperial Armour books. I remember seeing the full colour plates and just being like, this is different. This feels like the Janes fighting planes and tanks and, warships of Warhammer. This is a different level. And, I can't speak for Alan Bligh, but I don't think he'd be too impressed with what's happened. Because there's certainly been a level of fortification, not fortification, fortification, whatever, of the Horus Heresy. They want you to play with the new Saturn stuff. They've brought out new models, and that means that some old models are going to go the way of legacy. But because GW haven't been upfront about it, in fact, they said you could use your old armies. It's happened through leaks, and that's not good. So yeah, it seems like you 40k'd 30k and killed it. They said that it was just, a little tweaking of the edition. It's not, it's a wholesale change. So I like the core rules. But a lot of the comments are undeniably of disgruntled people. Now, GW won't care about the comments. It's bad optically, but it won't affect their share price, so they don't care. They will care if Saturn doesn't sell, and if the 3rd edition doesn't sell. They are clearly waiting to see if the amount of new gamers that they get is going to be compensatory. It is going to outweigh the amount of people that they lose, basically. Because, people will walk away. I swear I will play this box if GW explains how the fuck a Marine operates one of these Saturn Terminator suits. Yeah. I can't work it out. I think I might. I don't think I want Saturn Terminators, but if I do want to put them in a list, I would probably get 3D prints and downscale them a little bit. I think they look stupidly big. There's a scale creep going on that I'm not on board with. Really not. There was a little jump beforehand for second edition Heresy, and I was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. And now it seems to have jumped again, and I'm just like, no. I mean, I never wanted anything bigger than Leviathan Dreadnought, but we've got it now, third edition is a joke for those of existing armies. My White Scars are currently unplayable. Not to mention my wolves that have lost their stalkers, and I need to rip arms off my Vargria and jump packs from my HQs. Exactly, people don't want to have to rip their army apart. I'm glad I magnetised a good chunk of mine. No DLC edition for me. Now, this is a very important point. A lot of these missing options, I think, are going to turn up in these little thin 48-page, £17 books. So you are looking at DLC. That's going to inject some of the flavour back into it. So you're going to have to pay to have it back in. That's clearly going to be a thing. I don't like it, but it is clearly going to be a thing. Now, a lot of people were already not happy that the Horus Heresy was being updated after 3 years. Unfortunately, the Horus Heresy is a victim of its own success. The bean counters at GW have basically gone, wow, this Horus Heresy thing is making a lot of money. It's a core game. Core game equals 3-year cycle. So I think that people weren't expecting it, because Alan Bligh did his black books, and then that sort of went on from there. You had some red books that went on the game, but the fact of the matter is you're able to play that edition of the game for a long time. And then second edition came along, and I think people planned on being able to play second edition for a long time, that it would just have a tidying up of the bits that weren't great. What's happened instead is an entirely new edition's dropped, and a lot of their old stuff has been completely wrecked. Lots of people's armies just unable to use. And that's the real perspective, is that, this isn't like, I'm not going to say all 40k players, but a lot of 40k players are obviously a bit younger, and it's just a toy to them. They're just slapping stuff on, on a model, and it's just not the same level. Let's just put it that way. Those that play Legion Imperialis, those that play Horus Heresy, they tend to be older. It's a game for adults. Certainly was for me. I was like, what? I'll leave 40k behind. I'm not playing that. It looks a bit shit. Totally competitive. It's not what I want anymore. That's fine. And a lot of the models aren't what I want anymore. There's a lot of models that I do like. I mean, hell, we've done videos about our favourite 40k models, and I still have 40k armies. I still like some of the models. I'm very, very, very slow paying up a Mechanicus army at the moment. But in general, I was like, look, Heresy is giving me what I want aesthetically and game-wise, so I'm cool with that. And there seems to be a move to make it more like 40k, to try and get more money out of it, because 40k is the cash cow. And Space Marines make up like 50% of GW sales. Of course, a game that's like 80% Space Marines is going to be something GW look on. So, yeah, GW went up front. They said you could use your old armies. Yeah, no problem. You can't. Why would you want to buy 3 copies of Saturnine? That's mental. So, yeah, I mean, for example, the Tartarus Terminators apparently don't have power fists, but they come with power fists in the box. It's either an oversight, and an unforgivable one at that, or GW just invalidating your armies. Now, maybe there'll be some new Tartarus Terminators, that'll have white scale, that don't look silly compared to everything else, and they're going to take the power fists out. But that doesn't, you know what I mean? It's meant to be like a historical game, and historical games you shouldn't have these kind of changes to. It's like changing, it's like going to bolt action and going, right, okay, you don't have these bolt rifles anymore. You've now got to have, AK-47s. Do you know what I mean? It's not the way you treat a historical game. You lied to us. You said armies would be playable. They aren't. And you can just see lots of people. And there are people that are like, they're on board for this new stuff. But there's a lot of people that aren't. There is a lot of community disquiet. And I don't think it's cool. I don't think it's cool at all, GW. YouTube's another one. They left the comments on. So let's have a look. GW, tell me what happened to my headhunters. 20 guys armed with... Oh, So, with Combi Volkite and Combi Malters are completely unplayable in this version of this edition of Horus Heresy. And that's the other thing. If this is coming as DLC later, unless you're going to give us some kind of rules from now, we can't use our models now. I was there the day James Workshop slew the Horus Heresy. It's pretty negative. Pretty negative. Yeah, I mean, and you know, I get it. I totally get it. I really do. I think that the third edition is going to sell regardless because it's Space Marines, and I think they're going for 40k crowd. And you know, I think GW are just planning on churn. 3 years from now, new edition, more new models, get rid of more old models. They want to see you. Put it this way, I had an Ultramarine army in second edition. Although I didn't add new models because they were really cool, I did not have to. I could use that same army more or less 6 editions, nigh on 20 years. GW don't want that. GW want you to, buy new models all the time. And I did buy the new models, but they want to force you to buy the new models. That's the thing. It happened with Sigmar Marines, and I get it happened with Sigmar Marines because the thing is, the amount of models that they made with the Stormcast, endless new units, just pointless new units, just like Primaris. Pointless new bollocks units that they made up. They didn't need to make up. There was no role for. They were just like, we need to make a dual build unit for this box. So here's a completely fucking pointless unit that we've made up that you don't need, that just bloats out the army list. And when you do that, you're going to have to retire stuff. But these models cost a lot of money, and people a lot of time to playing them and painting them, and all that kind of stuff. And it's even worse if you're sort of an adult person who maybe doesn't get to play that often. Maybe you only get to play sort of 10 games in an edition. Let's say 12 games. 1 game every quarter because your edition lasts 3 years. It can happen. You're an adult. You've got responsibilities. It's a lot of effort. But yeah, the box hasn't sold out. I don't know how many they're made, but it hasn't sold out. Unlike a lot of GW stuff would. I think, they said it was going to be a minor change. It wasn't. It was a massive change, and I was cool with that. I was like, what, the rules look cool. They look narrative. I like it. I think maybe the gambits is a bit too much in the challenge step or whatever of combat. I think overall it might be a little bit too bloated for some people. Little Jimmy's head exploded. I mean, we'll have a look at this now, actually. Let's have a look, because this is more or less the same stuff. It's mostly people just go, this is bullshit. Right, here we go. So we've got this video from Josh. Seems like a cool chap. This is very 40k like. This is very basic level kind of we want new people, they've shown this is how to play the Horus Heresy. This is like the kind of thing that you would get. I mean, obviously, this kind of thing that shows up on Warhammer Plus. This will be on Warhammer Plus as part of their new thing. But this is very we want new players. But I tell you, little Jimmy, your 8-year-old 40k player, his head will explode if you try and expose him to this game. They're like scanners, And yeah, the way that this is presented is very geared towards newbies and young people as opposed to older players, in my opinion. So yeah, again, you've got the same thing. Loads of people just saying, look, my army's invalidated. It's been gutted. There's loads of stuff I can't use. There was one. There you go. Can you show me how my Angel Tiers with Assault Cannon, Destroyer Squad, Scout Snob Squad, Assault Cannon Heavy Support Squad, Jump Pack Librarian, Jump Pack Chaplain, Thunderhammer Tartarus playing game? All gone. Where are my destroyers? I've built destroyers for my Ultramarines because they're fucking cool. And the Ultramarines had their own destroyers, Nemesis. Apparently they're gone. Are they going to show up in the future? Are they not? Flip a coin, maybe. Yeah, just terrible. And they took Jagati Khan's jet bike. Just because the mod hasn't got it. People converted this shit, Terrible. It used to be the converter's paradise. It used to be a safe haven for the old school. Gone. You just couldn't help yourself, GW. And, yeah. Yeah, can you just tell us how destroyers work or Tartarus Terminators with fists? They're in the box! You took chainsaws from my Blood Angels tiers. Why the hell? You took the melee option from a melee army. Yeah, I just... Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Bang on, Alexmenius. Much like the other, this warrants reading in full. Much like the others commenting, I am a long-time fan and buyer of Warhammer products, so I was cautiously optimistic about this new edition. However, my Horus Heresy hobby has been a labour of love, and to know that most of my models aren't usable anymore, and the best I can hope for is a legacy PDF that is unlikely to be balanced against the rest of the range, has soured my interest in the new edition. Further, removing the ability to customize Centurions and Praetors, has stripped the soul from this once great game. Wishing Horus Heresy all the best, but this is where we part ways. I will not be pre-ordering as I originally intended this weekend. GW don't care. But very well put. Yeah. I mean, I think they fucked it. Yeah, I have a modest Worldbearer collection. I am amazed how the changes have removed all the character and unit out loadouts that I spent hours kit bashing and converting. Chaplains are so plain. Like, what do they do now? Having converted a Margul with dual fists, that's gone. Honestly, I was optimistic about version 3. The Libra's blandness in terms of choice and loadout and list construction has killed that totally. They added narrative and flavour to the rules and took it all out of the armies. Not a good move. Not a good move, GW. Not sure whose idea it was to gut the game of all customization, and so they can sell it to you later, mate. The Heresy has a long history of excellent hobbyists making armies of their own, making their armies their own. Seems now we're destined to follow the same fate of 40k of carbon-copied armies. Bang, bang, yes. Wow, such amazing gameplay. Gee, I can't wait to put my custom jet bike pre... Oh, what's that? Is illegal? Yeah. Yeah, there you go. To be honest, I'm extremely disappointed that so many of the Warget options were gutted in the Libras. The core rules seem good. They do seem good. But without the customization and individuality of 2.0, I'm not nearly as interested in buying new models or books. Yes. Yep. Just looks like you've gutted people's armies. And is it possible to maybe use the old Libras with the new rulebook? I mean, obviously you need the new Libras for the stat line, but I mean, like, maybe probably not. It's all been balanced around the new stat lines. I don't think it's going to work. You've got a choice at the end of the day. Play second and carry on and maybe port across the vehicle rules, for example. You could probably do that. But yeah, the fact that GW have not been upfront about this, probably due to the blowback that they got from Age of Sigmar, and the fact that they've not addressed this is massive. Me and Matt will be talking about this on Chebs live tomorrow night. That's the 14th of July. Yeah, it's just terrible by GW. We were due to look at a second edition codex. It was going to be so much fun. I love second edition. That we put back by a week. We're still doing it. But this has to be addressed. This is huge. And custodies going forward, I'd be very worried. Because I've got a feeling they're going to do a load of new plastic custodies, and anything that isn't in plastic will not be in the Liber. So yeah, just look at it. You have bit the hand that feeds GW. Horus Heresy was an entire sphere of gamers that were using the Heresy as a safe haven, and it was how you were hanging on to a certain bunch of players. Fuck tons of those are now going to go off to another game. When I worked for Warlord Games, John Stallard told me that Warlord is like the seagulls behind the trawler. paraphrasing Eric Cantona, but Warlord picks up the fish from the trawler. It picks up the people who fall off of Games Workshop. You know, they age out of it. They realise that Games Workshop's only interested in keeping a young core base. And they fall off, and people look at Warlord and go, fuck me, a tank's only 20 quid. Not 50 quid or 40 or whatever. I can get 30 dudes for £36? Wow. And that's how Warlord makes its money. And with Conflict 47, although I think it's overpriced, and there's a video coming about that soon, possibly even more likely to pick up some more stuff. So, yeah. Here we go. Horus Heresy is not 40k. Stop trying to make it into 40k. You had 2 distinctive games for 2 different types of players, and now you are sacrificing one group without really gaining another group. Horus Heresy has always been sustained by its die-hard players, and if you get rid of them, eventually Horus Heresy will die as a game or just become another GW joke. To me, 40k was wishy-washy, but 30k Horus Heresy was set in stone, and for more serious players, it's like taking a good outhouse and putting it inside a luxury home, but it's still without plumbing. Edit, I know some people dislike the new box set. I love the new box set and love 90% of all GW models. Please do better by your customers. Yeah, it's just biggest FU, long time. Horus Heresy fans. Yeah. People were already pissed off that they had to buy new books, buy new model, the Saturn and stuff like that after 3 years. But the fact that you turned around and went that all their old models are no longer valid, death knell for a lot of people. Anyway, I've rattled on about this long enough. You guys, let me know what you think. You're sticking with second? You're going a third? Maybe you're trying Heresy for the first time. Welcome to the club, but maybe magnetise your models just in case, because you never know when GW is going to say that you can't use them anymore. Anyway, tune in for tomorrow's Chebs, unless you're watching this in the future, in which case, go and watch the Horus Heresy version of Chebs, where me and Matt, because Matt's a lot more kind about this kind of thing than me, it's one of the reasons why, we work together. He balances me out a little bit. But yeah, in the meantime, let us know what you think, and I will catch you guys, as always, later. Bye.